Stampers, this is Judy Anderson from judystamps.com. Welcome to Happy Stamping Studios. Today we are going to be using the Hand-Penned Petals Bundle that's found on page 105 of our new annual catalog. Now this is part of our hand-penned suite, and it includes some series papers and some Genial gems, which are gorgeous, and we may stick a few of those on today. Let's take a look at the stamp set. This is a stamp set that's a set of 15 stamps that include some flowers. It's a two-step stamp, and you can color with this, or since it's an outline stamp, you could hand color it, which we are doing today. And it has 5 sentiments in it, and I just love the fonts that are seen that they used in here because they've mixed them, and I am a fan of mixing fonts in your sentiments. We also used the Penned Flowers dies in this card today, and I have also used our rectangle stitched framelits. So let's take a look at our pieces. Our base is early espresso. I've got some gold foil paper. I have the granite and smoky slate kind of mixed designer series paper that is from our In Good Taste designer series pack. And then, like I said, I used our rectangle dies to cut out some dies, and then I've pre-cut my die, and I'm going to show you how to stamp this using your Stamparatus when you pre-cut your dies. I'm a fan of pre-cutting dies a lot of times so I can get more from a sheet of cardstock. And with this little trick I teach you today, you will be a fan of it also. I've also taken the hand-penned dies and cut out these gold foil leaves. I'm not sure I'm going to use all of them, but I wanted to make sure I had enough. I'm also going to be using the Genial gems that is part of the suite, and I just think that this is going to fit nicely with our card today. Now this card is actually based on a swap that I received several years ago from a demonstrator. I believe she's from New Zealand, and hang on to the end and I'll show you that card, and let's see if we recreate the feeling. I am using early espresso ink and gray granite ink to stamp, and then I grabbed some of our Stampin' Blends. I've got the light seafoam green, the light crumb cake, and the light petal pink. So what do you say? Let's get started. We're going to start by stamping onto our die cut. And I have saved the piece of basic white that I cut that out of. So I'm going to grab the stamp and we're going to put it onto our Stamparatus. Let's pull that out. And let me move this over. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to place it onto my Stamparatus, and I'm going to ink it up. And I'm going to stamp it onto my mat. Let me move my mat over. Let's see if the other side's even dirtier. I use these until I can't see anything on them anymore. So let's ink up our stamp. And I am going to just stamp that on my mat, like I said. Okay, so we have our image here. So I know that I need to line up the piece that I die cut with that image. And that's just going to give me a place to, and I've got it backwards, place my die cut. So I'm just going to put this on here, line it up to how I want to stamp onto this die cut. Once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and put my magnets as far out as I can. Because this is a photopolymer set, the magnets are the same depth as our photopolymer stamps, so you don't want to place those magnets too close. I'm going to place my die cut inside that opening. Okay, and it's going to be right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my stamp really good. And I'm going to place it down. Now I do have a dry eraser, and I'm just going to rub over the top of that. And you will see the magnets are in the way. So let's move that out a little bit. I'm going to re-ink this. And that's what the beauty of using your Stamparatus is, you can stamp more than once and get that on there. So I'm going to press on here. My hands are a little bit sore today, and I find that if you have trouble with pressure or have arthritis, using that eraser is good. And see here where it's not stamping, that's because this magnet is too close. So I'm going to just move that magnet and stamp it again because I still have ink on there. And just press. I want to get a good image. And there we go. So we stamped that and it's ready to color. So I am going to grab my light petal pink and I'm going to start coloring my flowers. Now my entire bouquet is going to be using the petal pink and the crumb cake. So I'm going to go around the center and just pull some color out at all my flowers. And you will notice I'm using the bullet tip. I like using the bullet tip because I can put more pressure, but if your images are large, you will want to use the brush tip. Now on these, I'm going to very little bit of color in the centers. And just go around and do all my flowers. Okay, you want that to saturate your paper. Now we're going to go in with the crumb cake, and we are going to color with the crumb cake right around. And I'm coloring on the outside of the petal pink. And we're going to use our color lifter to blend those colors together. And I'm also going to grab my petal pink a second time to blend the colors a little bit on these flowers. And you know, flowers and Mother Nature, nothing is perfect. So some are going to have more crumb cake than others. Okay, so on this, in the centers of these, I am going to put my crumb cake. And that's where you're going to see really the darkness of that crumb cake. Okay, so I'm going to grab my petal pink again and go in and blend those together. So I'm basically coloring where those two colors meet, just to blend it in a little bit. And you will see it more predominantly on your larger flowers. So let's get those blended in. And then I'm going to go in with my color lifter. And I do this just to help lighten those colors a little bit and blend. So I am coloring over all of them and exceeding past my crumb cake. So I'm going all the way to the end of the petals, and what that is going to do is that's going to pull some of that color out. Well, let's just get that in there. I love coloring with these blends just because you can get different effects with them, and I'm just going to go in a circular motion there. Okay, so we've got those done. Now let's grab our light soft seafoam, and we are going to do the leaves. And this is a very light color, and I want my leaves light. I want this to be a soft look, and I'm leaving white in my leaves. And then I am also going to go over these with my color lifter because I do want them light. I'm just going to add a little bit of green in here, even though there's not a leaf. I just feel that it needs to be balanced. And a little bit of green. And then I'm just coloring over these. And you're not going to see a big difference as I'm coloring on these, but you will see a difference when it is done. I'm I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to set this to the side. And let's work on the rest. So I have this small rectangle that is out of the Designer Series paper. I am going to grab my thanks right here and grab my block, and I'm going to stamp with Early Espresso. And we are just going to stamp right in the middle of that, just like that. So that is done. Now I'm going to grab my gray granite and one of the flowers, and I think I'm going to get this image that has 2 flowers on it. And I am going to grab my Designer Series paper rectangle, and I'm just going to sporadically stamp some of these on here. Ooh, I kind of like it stamped off better. It's lighter. And you'll notice that when I'm stamping on here, I'm twisting my paper. And that's so I don't have to worry about twisting my stamp. I just move my paper. Okay, so we have that all stamped. Now I am going to use the same image that we stamped onto our flower and pull my Stamparatus in here. And I want to stamp on my Early Espresso. I'm going to move this out of the way. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just to give some texture to my Early Espresso. Now you could do this in Whisper White pigment ink also. In fact, the swap that I got, she used our gold ink, and we don't have our gold ink anymore. So I am just using Early Espresso. You're still going to see this on that paper. Look at that. Can you see that? It's very subtle, but you can see it on there. It's tone on tone. Okay, we get to start putting our card together. So let's grab all our pieces, and I am going to start by placing this on, and then I am going to place on my Designer Series paper with my Stampin' Seal. Let me get it started there. And the secret to this is you just run it easily and then check off to your right. And it comes off with no problem. So we're going to put this on here. And I am not putting it on my card front yet. I want to set this here, and then I am going to set this on. So we're just going to layer this Early Espresso on, and this card looks like it's so much harder than it is. And once my flower dries a little bit, I will see if I need to do some more coloring. Okay, so we've got that added on. And now I have this little frame. So when I do the frame, I'm going to want to use my liquid glue. So I'm looking for my silicone mat here. And I just want to put some liquid glue around the outside. So what I did is I used 2 of the frames that were close to size. One was just the next size smaller than the next, and then I used that cutout for the card also. But because we're angling it, it's not going to layer right on top of one another, so it will show up like this. Look at this. Now we're just going to angle that. Okay. I really wanted a flower in here, so I am going to get my flower. I'm just going to stamp one right in here, like that. I just didn't want that to be a blank space. Okay, so we've got that. I grabbed some of our gray satin ribbon. I love this gray granite ribbon, and we're going to put that right across here. Let me get my scissors, and I find that the trick to this is using my tear-in tape. So I'm going to put some, you're going to notice that I have a little cutout here. I'm almost out of my gold ribbon, or my gold foil paper, but I didn't want to not use it, and this is the only piece I could get cut out big enough, but that's okay. We're going to hide that. So don't be afraid to use your papers if they have a little cutout. There's ways to hide it. Another trick when you're using your tear-in tape is to rub it, and it comes off much easier. Okay, so we're going to take our ribbon and watch how we're going to hide that. We're putting our ribbon right over that spot, so you're not even going to see that. And adhere it to that tear-in tape on the back. So that tear-in tape is going to help stick this piece down as well as hold that ribbon. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use our Stampin' Seal on here, and we're going to adhere this to the front, just like that. Pretty already, right? Just using neutrals. Look at that. Okay, so now I'm just going to put these on. I do want to use my color lifter and color up some more, lift up some more of this crumb cake. I do want it a little bit more subtle. Listen to that squeakiness. I think I'm going to use the brush tip because I think this one is about dry. Yeah, I can tell the difference. So just go around those edges. It's time for a new color lifter, Judy. You can tell when it doesn't really, the tip is dry, I can tell. I can tell when I'm coloring on this that it's dry. Okay, so now we are going to place these pieces on here just for placement. Stick this up here, and let's see where we want some of these gold leaves coming out. Want some up here to add to this, maybe kind of tucking under that corner like that so it's coming out. Could do the same thing up here. I'm just doing for placement, and once I figure out my placement, I don't want that one quite right there. I think I want that one coming out there. This one will stick there. And oh, I don't know if I want more than that. I think that's going to be enough. So I know about where my placements is going to be. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to use my minis because I want to use plenty of them on here. So it is up. And just placing them around. You want to make sure you place enough dimensionals on your projects, you guys, because the whole idea is for the dimension. Let's stick one right here. And I'm going to put 2 in the middle because I don't want it to sag in the middle. Okay, I'm going to just take those off by using my Take Your Pick tool. Here we go. This tool is so handy getting those little chads off. Can't tell you how many times I sit there and play with them trying to get them off with my fingernails. Okay, so we decided to put it down here, but we did have a gold leaf coming out. So I want to place that gold leaf about where it's going to be coming out so that if a dimensional is on top of it, we take care of that. And you'll notice you only see a little bit of that ribbon, but hey, that's okay. Okay, so this is being held on by a Stampin' Dimensional. But I am going to take just a little dot of liquid glue, of the multi-purpose glue. Isn't this glue the best? I love it because it's tacky. And when I want it to adhere, I let it dry a little bit when I glue small pieces, and then I let it dry so it doesn't ooze out. So that's another little tip for y'all today. I'm going to take these off. I'm probably going to stick a couple of them underneath once I get my leaves under. Okay, so I'm going to place this. Oh, let's place it right in here. I think that's good. Letting it overlap a little bit. Okay, look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, I'm going to grab some of my liquid glue for my leaves. Now, I don't like things being completely flat down, so I am just going to place some liquid glue here at the tip and tuck it under. Remember, we wanted this one to be kind of coming from behind that piece. And then we have another piece here that we're going to put at the other side. Look how quickly this card is going together. Okay, and we're going to have this popping up this way and just popping out. Okay, so we're almost done with the front of our card. I'm going to grab some of the Genial gems from this suite. I'm going to place some of those on here. I just think we need some more bling on here. I'm going to use some small ones. And these Genial gems have like little gold flecks, but yet they kind of have a pink tone to them also. Let's put this one here. And oh, where do we want this one? Right there. Okay, so that is at the front of our card. Isn't it gorgeous? Not done yet. We need to grab some of our Wink of Stella. And I'm going to put some Wink of Stella on here because we need a little bit of glimmer on these flowers. So I am just dabbing it on. And you may not see too much of this in the video, but believe me, it is sparkly. Okay, so there's the front of our card, and we're going to do the inside next. For the inside of our card, I have a piece of gray granite which measures 3 3/4 by 5 inches and a scrap of basic white. We're going to move our card out of the way, and we're going to go back to our Stamparatus, and I want to stamp this flower. Just put that on there and grab my early espresso ink. Basically want the large flower that's on here. So that's all I'm carrying is this big flower in the center. Let's rub that. And we have that. Grab my again, and I'm going to color this flower. Okay, and my crumb cake. You know, you can tell when your blends are starting to get dry because they don't blend as well. They need to saturate the paper. Let's do the center. And then I'm going to grab my pale petal pink and go over those lines just a little bit. And then I'm going to grab my color lifter. I'm going to grab a new one. Hang on a second. It's just not doing its job anymore. And you will see a difference. Look how that blends that out. And lifting that color. It will lighten up, Okay, now I am going to fussy cut this because the die does not cut around here. Okay, we're going to grab our mini emboss machine and let's grab our dies. So the die I'm going to use is this one right here. And you're going to see that it cuts out part of the center of this flower. I have done this on a piece before and it doesn't line up exactly. Let me get this on camera. So you can see, let me zoom in here. See how you have some white showing? That is normal with this die. I'm going to put that down and run it through. This mini emboss machine is so handy when you have, when you have little dies like this. In fact, I have been using my mini machine more than my bigger machine. Okay, now see those pieces that are cut out? I guess I didn't really have to fussy cut it. And let's poke this out, and how I get them out is I drop them on my countertop and it pops right out. Let's just take your pick tool and poke those out. So your flower is going to look a little bit different. So let me show you the front of this card. I just love this effect on these so that the background shows through. But we're using this on the inside of our card. So the inside of our card is gray granite. I am going to go ahead and those little flowers, we're going to stamp some of those little flowers on the inside. And we're just going to drape those, kind of make them go down our card, just like this. Flip this one around and off the side like that. Then we're going to take our liquid glue and we're going to adhere this onto the inside of the card. Now I am not going to put a sentiment on the inside because I like to personalize those when I send them. Although I do have a lot of different thank you sayings for the insides of my cards. Okay, and we're going to set this one right up there, just like that. I want to get this Chad off my ink pad. Got to be careful so you don't rip your pad. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out for the rest of this because we are way too close. There we go. Okay, so let's get this on the inside of our card. We're going to fold this, and using our bone folder, I'm going to go ahead and burnish that score line. Beautiful front card. And then use our Stamp and Seal to secure this to the inside. You guys getting ready to see that card I was telling you about? You are going to love it. It's gorgeous. I think I got the same feel. The only thing is she did use glitter on hers, so hers is a little bit shinier. But let's take a quick peek at her card also. So this is my card. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know if the colors show up enough on the video, but I'm going to tell you it is gorgeous. Okay, and the demonstrator is Donna Gray, and she is from Gunalaba. I believe it's the Netherlands. It's NSW. So she is an international from, I believe, the South Pacific. So here is her card. So here are the two cards next to each other. I will zoom out so you can see them. So I feel that I got the feel that she had, and I think her card is gorgeous. So until next time, everybody, happy stamping!